Back in June 2024, I talked about the newly released Windows Autopilot Device Preparation. Now, some call it Windows Autopilot V2, which is fine, but that kind of makes it sound like you should use this new version rather than the original. And so, 14 months on from that, let's find out if that's the case. We'll jump into my Intune console. I want to quickly show you how to configure this, because if you've not done it before and you haven't watched a previous video on it, then you may be uncertain of how to do this. So I want to quickly show you it. I will not waste too much of your time though, because it is very, very simple. We need a couple of groups. We need a group called Autopilot here, and I've got a group called Windows Autopilot Device Preparation Device Group and a user group equivalent as well. Now don't worry about this one at the top. This is the original version of Windows Autopilot Group that we don't need to talk about for now, so forget this one exists. In fact, I'm only talking about Windows Autopilot Device Preparation. And the device group should be empty, as in it shouldn't have any computers in it. You don't need to put computers in it, because crucially the devices that we're going to be putting into Autopilot Device Preparation don't exist yet. We might buy them, we might create a VM, we can't have them in Entra yet, so we can't put them in a group. And that's kind of the whole problem with Autopilot. And the original version of Autopilot made you create a kind of a ghost version of that object in Entra by adding the hardware hash, and we don't need to do that with this version, so we don't need to worry about the device. All we need to do is make sure there is a group for it. And crucially, the only thing about this group that is different from most other groups is that it's going to be an assigned group, not dynamic. It is going to be a cloud security group, and it also is going to be owned by a very specific user, or service principal, but technically a user. If I go to owners, you'll see we have an Intune provisioning client. And if I go to add owners, I won't be able to do it, but I should find Intune provisioning client here. And that's the one that we should add. Now it will have this unique identifier, because this is what Microsoft have put into every tenant. For a long time, there were many different names for this particular user for some reason, but they always had the correct GUID, so you could always find it. But it's now called the Intune provisioning client pretty much across the board. So all you need to do is make sure that this user is the owner of this group. Very simple. That's it. The next thing we need to do is have a user group, which can be assigned or it can be dynamic, doesn't really matter. The users need to go in this group if they're going to be eligible for Windows Autopilot Device Prep. So I can choose members here, and I've got Adele Vance in this group already, but I could have populated that group using my using any method I want, really. But right now I have a member in that group, so that's all I need to do, because Adele is going to be my test subject for this particular demonstration. Now what I want to show you also is that we can just configure the enrollment here. Now none of these are too important. They need, automatic enrollment needs to be enabled, so that's one thing. Make sure you've got the MDM user scope set to all or some, which definitely includes the user that you're testing with. Stealing and validation is very important if you want things to just work. Co-management we're not doing. Device platform restriction I'll come on to in a few seconds. Limit restriction is going to be very important if you're testing this a lot and your users have lots of computers, your test users have lots of computers, because that might prevent you from testing further if you hit the limit. 15 by default. Enrollment notifications, not very important. Hello for business, again, not important, and neither is backup just for this demonstration. But platform restrictions is very, very important, because what I want to do is make sure that if a user doesn't have a corporate device, then they can't use Autopilot Device Prep. So they can't just go to a store, buy a device, log in, and use Autopilot Device Prep to get it up and running and ready for work. We want them to use only the devices that they've been told to buy. Now again, that's difficult because we haven't got the device yet. Remember, that's the whole thing. The whole point is that they will get the device shipped to them, and we don't want to have to go through and capture the hardware hash on that device like we had to with Windows Autopilot, the original. So if I go to device platform restrictions, let's configure it how I would like it to be, which is that Windows devices do not work for personally owned, which is the version where they're not registered in the tenant already. So let me go to platform settings, edit, and just change this to block. So if I try to enroll a device that is not registered already as a corporate identifier, then it will not work. So now we're in a good position. It means people can't just grab a device and start enrolling it. Okay, next. No, it hasn't updated. Let me just make sure that's updated just to show you I'm not cheating. I'm very certain I chose that to be not allowed. But let's go back and choose review and save. Just going to take a second to have another look at that, because I'm really certain I clicked the right button there. It says allowed still, even though I definitely have a couple of times set this to the correct thing. Okay. Well, let's solve this a slightly different way by creating a restriction for all users. Block personal Windows, and just see if I can do it with a separate policy. So it's going to be MDM allow and personally owned block. Next. Add all users. Next. Okay, I have an all users. It's not assigned though, so still some work to do. Platforms configured, yes. Windows is the platform. All users is assigned, and personally owned devices block. Great, we are almost there. Let's get back to it. It's assigned. Okay, so now I block personally owned devices. That took a lot longer than I expected and that it should have taken, but we're there. Next, what we need to do is take a look at the policy that I've got for Autopilot Device Prep. So if we scroll down to Enrollment, underneath this fold here we have Autopilot Device Preparation, and then we have Autopilot underneath it. Now, this is a really confusing way to lay out this particular interface, I think, because what it looks like is that you want to use Windows Autopilot, perhaps, but you've got to do some device preparation first in order to do it, and that's absolutely not the case. These are two completely separate ways of using an enrollment thing, which is known as Autopilot. This is Autopilot Device Prep, which allows you to build devices very quickly and use much less configuration on the admin side. And Windows Autopilot needs a lot more work, but it also supports different features. So what we're testing here is Autopilot Device Prep, which doesn't require Windows Autopilot at all. I'm going to choose device preparation policies. I've already created one because going through it would take too long. I don't want this to be a long video. I want to focus on the testing at the end here. So I'm going to choose device preparation profile. I've already created it, but it's very easy to create. And when we go through it, you'll see what we have. I just don't need to change that one, do I? That's the name. We have a group assigned, which is the Autopilot Device Preparation device group. We saw that one. We have an assignment to the user group. See that? Good. We have some scope tags assigned, the default scope tag, so I didn't really change that. That just happens to be there. And then we've got some settings. Now, I will go into edit on these so you can see the edit view, because the edit view shows us that it's user-driven. And annoying, it's funny really, because there's only one option, but at least it's a drop down so you can see that it's one option. It's single user and it's enter join. There's no other options here, and we're going to make this user a standard user. Now, I will also show you the out-of-box experience. So 30 minutes of installations will take place, and then if it takes longer than 30 minutes, it will show an error of some sort, and the error will be contact your organization support person for help. Great. And we can allow the users to skip setup after multiple attempts. So if it tries again and again and again, then the user can skip the setup. I actually don't like that. That's not really what I want it to do. I want the device to be fully enrolled, because this is a device that I've given to this user, so I'm going to choose no. And then also show link to diagnostics. Yeah, why not for now, certainly in the testing. In the apps section, we can add some apps that will be required before the user can get to the desktop. So this isn't the full list of apps that will be installed on the device, because that's going to happen through how Intune works. You push an app to a user or to a device and it eventually gets on that computer. This isn't changing any of that. This is simply changing how long it will take the user to get to the desktop. So I want the company portal to be installed, for example, and Windows 10, sorry, not Windows 10, Microsoft 365 apps for Windows 10 and later, and we can maybe add in another one. Maybe I want 7, maybe I want something much McAfee? No. Maybe I need Notepad++ to be installed. Probably not, but that's what I've set. I can choose next, and I can choose save, and it will update that, and now I've got these things here. So that's the policy. Very, very easy to set up. Again, assigned to this group, and this group only contains one user, which is Adele Vance. Okay. Let's think about what we're doing next. I want to deploy to these two computers here. You can see I've got them on another screen. And the left one is no autopilot. I don't want this one to use autopilot at all. And the one on the right here, you're going to be using Autopilot Device Prep, because I want to show you what the difference is. Because I saw a comment in a video, how do you know which version of Autopilot it used for this particular deployment? And I'll give you this example for now. So we're not going to use Autopilot, and we're going to use Autopilot Device Prep here. But neither of these devices are registered in the tenant yet, because they are just freshly built virtual machines, as you can see. So if we go back to the enrollment section, we have corporate device identifiers, which is the key for Autopilot Device Prep. So I'm going to go here, and you can see I've got a serial number here already, but that's not related to this demonstration at all. It's a device that's already enrolled. I can add, and I can either do CSV or manual. And let's look at the difference, because this is important. If I choose manual, I get IMEI and serial number, and I get this information here, so identifier and details. Not particularly useful, definitely not going to help me with the thing I need to do, because what I need to do is add in, if I do CSV, you can see that we get manufacturer, model, and serial number. That's much better, because then I can upload this and get it working. So let's, this will essentially work for Autopilot Device Prep. Now, if I choose, I need to create a file, but I'm going to open up an Excel file, and here I'll be able to add the CSV. So the manufacturer is going to be Microsoft Corporation. The model is going to be virtual machine, and then the serial number is... Okay, so now we've got this. I can just save this as a CSV, and we're good to go. Okay, so now we have that ready to go. We have those 3 lines in the CSV. Let's just quickly go to import identifiers, grab this. So there is the CSV which has the data in it. I'll choose open, and for some reason that switched from manufacturer there to there, and then choose add. Okay, good. So make sure you're not accidentally uploading it as an IMEI, and we can upload the manufacturer, model, and serial number. And after a few seconds, it will have added those identifiers to the list. I'll give that a few seconds to do it. There we go. So we have identifier here. That's the information, not contacted. So now we're ready to go. We're ready to head over to these machines here. So I'll just quickly do that. We can close this down. Now, I wouldn't say it was the ultimate test if we didn't actually reset these devices, because we need to reset the devices for any of the changes that we've just made to actually take effect. So I'm going to give these a reset now and get them back to the state they are at. Now when I say reset, I just mean power button, turn them off, get them restarting. They should come back up. We don't need to fully re-image them or anything like that, but after a few seconds we'll see that these come back up, and we're in a good state to get started. So let us log in and get these users up and running with Autopilot. So we're going to go for the left one here. I'm going to log in as Adele. I'm going to go the right one as well around the same time, just to get these spinning wheels moving forward. Now at this point, yes, the device is added to my corporate identifiers list, but that doesn't mean that it's going to contact my tenant as soon as it turns on. There's no reason this device would reach out to my tenant right now. It's not it's not being logged into by one of my users. This serial number could exist in many, many, many tenants, and it wouldn't matter. That's not the case for the original version of Autopilot, which it could only exist in one tenant for it to work. So again, from this point of view, for the user, there's no difference at all between using Autopilot Device Prep and not Autopilot at all, because there's no difference. So I'm going to sign in on the left-hand side here with Adele at nextcoffee.co.uk and choose next. I'm going to do the same one here just to get the timing roughly the same. I'll just do them in parallel. And same password, obviously. I can't do that because I can't insert the USB key, but I can sign it a different way. And I've got Approve Authenticator here. Let's do that one at a time. And no difference at all from the user perspective right now. And now it says, please wait while we set up your device on the one on the left, and then please wait while we set up your device on the one on the right. Now this user is using Autopilot Device Prep because they are in the group. So the left-hand side now says this feature is not supported. And it says contact your system administrator with the error code 801-800-14. This is a personal device. The user cannot enroll a personal device into the organization. They just get that error. When we look at the right-hand side, though, you can see that it says installing management extension and start building that device. So we can just click try again and click close, and now we're back at this login screen, but crucially the user hasn't been able to enroll that device. I wonder if we could try and quickly grab the serial number and make a model from this device. Let me quickly grab this just as a test. Now it's not going to be in sync with that existing one, but let me just grab the serial number for this one, and I'm going to add it to the tenant. Alright, I think I tapped that right. I tapped it wrong a couple of times, but I think I've saved it just about. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to just save that. I'm going to add in another device using the upload CSV here and grab that file there. Just get that adding. It's going to try and add the two because there's two in that list. It will fail on one of them hopefully and then work on the other. But one other thing to mention while it's doing that, if you notice on the right hand side here, this device is now installing apps. And it seems to have very nicely progressed percent by percent by percent by percent. I think it was Michael Niehaus who said that this is just moving forward by time. It's not looking at the actual status of the installs. It is just every 60 seconds or so it will change from 1 to the next percent, just increment the percent. Because Microsoft isn't very good at showing percentages or timelines. So this is just incrementing, and at some point in the near future it will just go from whatever percent it's at to 100, which looks great from an end user perspective but doesn't really give you an insight into how it's actually working. But there you go, that's what it's doing. So while that's happening though, let's focus on this machine over here. So this machine is now a corporate device, really. I'm going to quickly reset it and make sure that it is ready to go and fresh. And I'm going to log in with a user who is not in Autopilot Device Prep at all. So we're going to log in as Alex Wilbur, who isn't in the group. You saw it was only Adele Vance who was in the group. And so we're going to take that device and see what happens there. Now I hope I've got the multi-factor authentication set up for Alex. Maybe I don't. We'll see. Right, Alex W at, need to look at the keyboard, nextcoffee.co.uk. And we'll sign in with his account instead. This one need authenticator. It was that one. I was lucky. Okay, so this now says please wait while we set up your device. You might remember it saying that previously when we logged in as Adele. and we'll see whether it actually does start building this device, because it's now a corporate device, but this new one that I'm showing you isn't using Autopilot Device Prep, and straight away you can see slightly different. At least it's asking me about the apps and location. Now maybe the other one will eventually do that, because when it gets to the stage maybe it will do that, I can't remember, but we'll see. So let's go through this step by step. I'm going to choose yes. I'll allow find my device. I will include optional diagnostics. I'll improve inking and typing. I'll get a tailored experience. And now it says just a moment, and now it says hi. So this machine on the left hand side doesn't have any of the apps that we just talked about. It is still going through stuff to set things up, but we'll see what happens. On the right hand side though, you can see we have required setup is complete. I'll choose next and see if we can get to this stage here. So, okay, so now it's got the same questions that we had just a few seconds ago. I thought it would do that. And so the user still has to make those decisions, which isn't ideal, but we've got that. And now it's going to say just a moment, getting things set up, and then we'll be at the Use Windows Hello with your account screen. When I click that button, we will be almost in the same state. Okay, so we started the no autopilot device much later. I can only guess it was maybe how long we've been running. Maybe about 10-15 minutes later we started the left-hand device with Alex's login, and it got to this stage where you can set up Hello for Business before the Autopilot Device Prep. And the user still had those same questions to go through that they did on the Device Prep one. But let's go through it and do it. So we will choose OK. I'll type my PIN. Choose OK. Might need multi-factor authentication. Doesn't. That's good. Alex is now at the desktop. Now it has no apps, although Company Portal is already installed. We'll see if any of the other apps have installed. The management extension is already installed just in the time it's taken me to talk about it. But let's try on the right hand side here. We'll go and type in the PIN and choose OK. Let's see what the difference is for Adele. Now she has Outlook installed. I don't think Alex did. Yeah, he doesn't have it's got the... Right, I mean he's got Office as well. What about Notepad? We said Notepad, didn't we? Does Adele have it? Notepad++ is not installed. That's a shame. And on the left-hand side, he doesn't have it either. So it's possible that we didn't even deploy Notepad++ to them in the first place. One of the things I forgot to mention was that if you don't deploy the application, then adding it to that list is not going to force it to be installed. It doesn't add it to the list of apps that need to be installed. I'll show you what I mean. If I go to Notepad++ in my All Apps section here, if it's not deployed to these computers, it's not going to go. Yeah, it's not assigned at all. So there's no reason that just adding it to the Autopilot Device Prep section for the apps list will start installing it on that device. I forgot to mention that. So that's why neither of those have that installed. There's very little difference between these two users. Let me just see if Alex is an admin. He isn't an admin because we've solved that through the endpoint security policy. And if I look at Adele, is she an admin? Maybe she will be. She is not. So that's solved either through the endpoint security policy that we've pushed out or through the Autopilot Device Prep. The point is that there was very little difference between these two setups, and one of them, okay, so the Office is now fully installed on this computer as well, and it is fully installed on this computer although it doesn't have, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, out. Yeah, they're pretty much the same, and it's only been 10 minutes for that to actually fully install. And if this is helpful, please do hit the subscribe button and maybe drop a comment. It really helps me keep this channel going and gives me the strength to sit down and hit the record button again and again. Your support is really appreciated. And what I want to try and figure out from you is Autopilot Device Prep the autopilot we're looking for? Are you using it? Do you have a use case for it? Because from what I've just tested here, I could pretty much just use nothing rather than using Autopilot Device Prep and get a reasonably good user experience, or at least reasonably equivalent to Autopilot Device Prep. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time.